So let me just discuss regarding this topic of system prompts for Claude 4. So I think Claude 4, it came out about a month ago,
Yes.
and this article is also quite old, but I just want to discuss about it. So the system prompts for the Claude 4 two models were uh, basically released, and someone did some examination of what the system prompts do. So I did not actually clearly understand what system prompts are. So simply speaking, I was just to tell it how to behave. So it basically defines the personality of the LLM model. So the system prompt for Claude 4 was released. I think what, as I understand it, so they released part of the system prompt, but not entirely everything.
Okay. Okay.
So this investigation, you can say, is partly from what they officially released, and so via other tools, this person is able to get the other system prompts as well. So let's see some points. Yeah, so it was partly extracted through something that he termed as prompt injection. I don't really know what it means, but let's just understand it to be some kind of technique to extract the underlying prompts given to it. So one of the system prompt is that it should provide emotional support while avoiding encouragement to self-destructive behavior. So I think which is like common across all LLMs most probably. That it should not uh, give replies such that it in a self-destructive manner to the person. That was one of the highlighting prompt. Other one is fighting the flattery problem. So I don't know if you've encountered this or not in the responses of these LLMs, but sometimes they are overly, they try to flatter you too much. You will ask something very basic and they will tell you, oh, what a great question,
Yes,
something
I
like
have
that. So
experienced it.
here, one of the, yeah, so one of the prompts here is that Claude should never start its response by saying a question or idea or any observation was good, great, fascinating, or something along those lines. So it has to skip the flattery and respond directly. Another one point or prompt I noticed compared to ChatGPT is that the prompt given to Claude was that it should not use any bullet points or numbered list, which I found the contrasting to ChatGPT is because if you ask ChatGPT something, the output it gives is a very uh, informal, not informal exactly, but it uses a lot of bullet points, symbols, like emojis, stickers, and
Yes,
stuff.
emojis. Yeah.
So, for example, I have an example here. Yeah. So, example, I asked ChatGPT here, tell me about the Hubble deep space or whatever. So, this is some kind of, I don't know what it is, but anyways, it is giving two response.
Yeah.
So, I can see like the paragraphs are here, then some emoji, some more emojis. I don't know what is the point of having a camera emoji here. Then so many bullet points, then some brain emoji, whatever. So I don't know. It is, maybe you can say it is very Gen Z friendly response. But if you look, say for the same, what is this? For the same question to Claude, it's like a straightforward, sort of like an essay. It does not create any bullet points or anything like that. Then also one other system prompt is given is to copyright protection. So it will not, one example he has given, it will not reproduce any song lyrics completely, and it will only quote from other sources only under 15 words. So something like that. So there are some copyright protections built into the system prompt. So mostly that was it about the system prompts for Claude. Actually, there is in this website, if you go, there is a very long list of all the system prompts that he has analyzed and what the different prompts do. I have not actually gone through this, so I don't know what are the system prompts given actually. But based on this article, the few that is pointed out actually seemed interesting. So yeah, I talked about that. And I also did not completely understand what system prompts was. And so they are saying system prompt is something that gives the LLM its personality. And I was thinking, why does it have to be given through a system prompt instead of through directly training the model? So when the model is trained, it should be trained with its personality and how should it respond, etc. So I asked this question to LLMs like Claude, and some of the answers you can see here. First of all, it is saying it is going to be flexible and adaptability will be there. So you can train a single model. So you can have a single general model, and through giving it different system prompts, you can fine tune it to answer differently for different scenarios instead of having to train for multiple scenarios differently. So there will be training constraints, of course. Then you can generalize and versus specialization. You will have a generalized model. You can give specialized prompts to it, so it will respond according to that. And so I asked it by giving the example of being funny. So instead of training to be funny, why should it have to be prompted to be funny? So if we, in order to train it to be funny, the model's weights and the neural pathways, all of them are fundamentally only shaped to generate humor. But when you prompt it to be funny, it knows the general language patterns in general. And if I only ask it to specifically be funny, then it can do that. So yeah, if you read the last line, it like very nicely summarizes what is the difference. So it says the training teaches the model how to be funny, while the system prompt tells it when to be funny and what kind of humor is appropriate for the current context. So yeah, that was about some system prompts for Claude. So yeah, do you have any points here?
Okay. So so system prompt means that once the model is trained, you give it explicit instructions on how to respond to certain scenarios or to the user queries.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, since uh, even I, in my work, I think in some sense I can understand the objective or the importance of prompts and how important it is. Means the same model, if you, depending on how you prompt it, it will give you the desired output as you want it. So, and in
Mhm.
fact, models, like not just models, like Gemini has has certain features, as well as Perplexity also has certain features where you can give extra context or extra prompts. For example, uh,
Yeah.
for at least for okay, I can, I'll share the screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me. There's something. There's a thing called gems. Gems, where you can provide certain explicit instructions. Okay, so for now, I have just created one gem for regarding my work. So, for example, let me see. It's just been a while I've used this, but let me see if I can know how it works. The thing is that you can give it certain instructions. Okay, yeah. So we
Mhm.
create a gem and I give it certain instructions that give me like this kind of instructions, and you can test it out. But anyways, once this instruction it's done, I think okay, I'll update it, and it's done. And now if I use this gem, and if I suppose write a live phone, suppose, you see, I don't have to give any additional like, instructions anymore. I just have to write this thing, and it knows that it has to generate this kind of bullet points and everything and so on. So anytime I need to generate a product listing of this kind of, if I need a specific kind of output, I can just use this gem and just give
Mm-hmm.
the name directly. I don't have to give the explicit instructions each and every time I do it. So that's the whole idea behind
Yeah.
this thing. So it's like
I
already,
think
I mean,
in
it
ChatGPT also you can like, yeah. So
yeah,
in ChatGPT also you can, I think you can give uh, the context. You can define your personality and stuff. So it
okay,
will respond. I think in Gemini also there can. What sort of one example I do is I sometimes want to summarize article
okay,
and I want it to summarize in a specific way.
okay,
So similar to gems, I guess. So, but I did not use gem. It was some other setting where I gave a prompt saying whenever I space the text and I ask you to summarize, do the following, like summarize according to this standard text or standard format. And next time, I just copy the entire article, paste here, and just write summarize. So it summarizes according to the prompt I have given earlier. So
okay.
something like that.
So I think even Perplexity has certain means similar
Yeah.
kind of features. So it looks like there are layers upon layers of
Mm-hmm.
instructions, because on the first of all they train the base layer,
Mm-hmm.
then there's whatever you call the system prompt. On top of this we have this specific kind of prompt, and then on top of this we have the specific query that we ask in this box. So it's layers upon layers of prompts that are going on.
Yeah.
So it has, I mean, things are in, I'd say, the next in the last 5 6 years it has become so layered between what a machine is and what is actually happening on the output. I mean, at least up until like 5 to 6 years ago, we can actually be able to connect as to what's happening in the output and what's going at the basic level. I mean, you can at least understand something, the code behind this and everything. But right now, it has become
Mm-hmm.
next to impossible. In fact, there is this whole field called mechanistic interpretability, where they're all trying to. The whole point of this field of research is to trying to reverse engineer what's going on inside the AI models. I'll talk about it in more details later, but if you have anything else to say,
So, but these
explain it.
models aren't this kind of models called non-deterministic models or something?
Oh, I haven't heard of this.
Because I think I've heard this term before. Can you maybe Google it once?
Should I ask
Yeah, in
Gemini
Gemini itself. Yeah.
what are non-deterministic? The
No, instead you ask, is our LLMs non-deterministic?
elements are inherently non-deterministic when they're
Yeah, basically given the same exact input token, input query, it will not give the same output every time.
so now let me ask, so what's the point of mechanistic interpretability? So it's a cutting edge field in AI research that aims to reverse engineer neural networks. especially LLMs, to understand the internal reasoning process at a granular causal level. Instead of just observing what an LLM does, MI seeks to uncover how and why it does what it does. Okay, so the core ideas is moving beyond the black box, key concepts. So how is it relevant if it is indeterminate? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is it?
Yeah, maybe ask it if LLMs are non-deterministic, how can mechanistic interpretability be
Yeah.
understood or something like that?
You said this kind of flattery, you hit on a crucial point. But yeah,
Mm.
the inherent non-determinism of LLMs does not present a challenge for mechanistic interpretability. If the same input can lead to different internal states and different outputs, how can you consistently reverse engineer a fixed algorithm? Thus present, okay. However, MI isn't about finding one unique execution trace for every possible output. Instead, it focuses on identifying the understanding of the general computational principles, features, and circuits that the model has learned, even amidst the probabilistic nature of its operation. Okay, so I think so. I have to. It isn't making too much sense, but I think so. This is something that requires deeper study, not just glancing through this. So to grasp what it's trying to say.
Yeah,
But yes, overall, the idea of you get it. The idea of MI is to reverse engineer and try to understand what's going on. But what's how practical it is, I don't know. I
mm,
have to do like proper study to be able to understand it. So,
yeah.
so what else do you have to say? Any other topic or anything to add into this topic?
No, no.
Okay, so even to so since you have talked something about AI and LLMs, so I think even I'll continue with the same thing. So even I had few of these topics, but I think so I'll focus on this fifth and sixth topic because it relates to the same theme that we're talking
Okay.
about. Okay, so we'll go there again. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this one. ChatGPT is making us cognitively weak. So I found this tweet
Mhm.
about a study that was being done on people who used ChatGPT to do certain work, do their works. For okay, this is for essay writing, and they found that people who used this, they became means their cognitive capacities or the cognitive capabilities actually declined while using AI to do their work. That was the whole point of this research. So, I mean, there all the details are there, means the exact point, what exactly happened, and so on and so forth. But the main point was that when people used AI, means their thinking capacities and the cognitive capabilities, not just subjectively, they did some physical brain scans and so on. And there's okay, maybe there's certain data here. Let me see. Yeah, so you can see this one that the brain scan revealed that the neural connections collapsed from 79 to just 42. I do not know exactly what those connections are, but it says that there is a 47% reduction in brain connectivity just because they didn't think themselves and instead relied uh, on an AI model. Why is it one-sided? Okay, so these are all the details, but my point here is that I don't want to talk much about the details of this study because the one-line summary is very simple. What it is saying is that if you use AI for your work and you're not doing the cognitive part yourself, it's affecting your cognitive capabilities negatively. So that's the one-line summary of what the whole study. The point I want to talk about is what are my opinions or what are my commentary on this thing. So basically, I have two things to say about this. The first is, well, okay, I mean, I have two perspectives here. One is from the broader economic perspectives, from the perspective of the progress of the human civilization in general at the bigger level, and the second is at a personal and an individual level. So at the broader level, it doesn't matter if you're cognitively declining or anything. It doesn't matter as long as two things are happening. The two things are if there's an increase in productivity and efficiency of the work that's being done, and that means things are getting done quicker and faster. The second thing is that the cost of production are decreasing. So if you can do something faster and cheaper, nothing else matters. That's the first that's the takeaway at the social level. For a society to progress, at least economically, if these two things are happening, if you can produce goods faster, cheaper, that means the society is progressing economically, and that's all that matters. Okay, the first thing. But at the personal level, okay, before I go to the personal level, a few more commentary on this on the broader social level. Because similar things happen when the machines came as well. So because of machines, a lot of physical tasks became way more efficient, or even the things that you couldn't do. Like no matter how strong a human is, there are certain things that machines can do that any group of humans even if they work collectively, it will take a very long time. So it happened at the physical level as well. And so now our physical capabilities aren't of it doesn't have direct economic value. Like if you are stronger, you're not going to get a job at certain places that will pay you so in that manner. So economically, our physical strength is of little value these days. And because of this, we have uh, developed certain lifestyle diseases which did not exist, I think so, maybe 300 or 400 years ago, before industrialization. Like all lifestyle diseases like diabetes, blood
Mhm.
pressure, obesity, and so on and so forth. So those are the, but at the same time, we developed the civilization developed in terms of all the technological advancements and the world being an interconnected place and so on and so forth. So similarly, at the cognitive level, at the social level, I think progress will happen. No, it's going to happen. But again, as we are saying, the things that happen, the so-called lifestyle diseases, because of the physical lifestyle diseases that happen, I think a new category of diseases will come right now because of this kind of things, like this brain atrophy, the decline of cognitive capabilities. I think to an extent, it already happened. I think over the past, uh, I don't know, maybe 100 years or so, you can already see that this mental illness has become much more prevalent and so on and so forth because of the kind of lifestyle that we have created for ourselves. But that's not directly related to what I'm saying. But we can see that just like lifestyle, physical diseases has come into place. Similarly, this kind of cognitive diseases is probably going to come into the it will start to come up, show up among people. This is the first study, I think, so well-known study, and yeah, these are the kind of things that will happen. Now let's
Mm.
now okay, I'll talk about the second part, at the personal level, how it affects. So at the personal level, the thing is that they have said that the study was all about trying to use an ChatGPT as an AI essay writing task. That means you are transferring the whole cognitive load to an AI tool. You are not doing anything, the research and whatever that's required. So again, what I think is that from a economic or from a production perspective, it is good to use AI tools. Just like it is good to use. Suppose I want to go from one place to another. Nobody is practically going to run like 50 kilometers from one town to another. Either I'll take my own car or take a bus or anything. So that's good. Like it is efficient for practical purposes. But for maintaining my own health, I should go to the gym, go for a run, try to take care of my own health. So in the same way, using any AI tools for any production level or the professional level tasks, it is fine. You can use it. But when it comes to learning, at the learning stage, it has to, it try, the point is to try to make it as manual as possible. Like even years ago, back when I was in school, the thing that helped me learn most was when I tried to do things on my own. Like for example, in mathematics and physics, most of the time what we did was that we were given certain equations, and those equations most of the time it didn't make sense to me. And as we all know that from the exam point of view, what matters is that you memorize the equations and do similar problems and you get the marks. But if you truly want to understand how the equation works, try to derive each and every step of the equation on your own. So in that way, you'll understand the logic behind the equation. Why this equation? Why like you'll understand the step-by-step logic behind everything that happens. So similarly, when you're and even these days, when I'm preparing for this kind of writing articles, preparing for this kind of talks, what happens is that yeah, if I can just ask AI to give me a script and it will give me within seconds. But when I study on my own, look at the research, counter question, why this, why not that, and so on and so forth. So in that way, this is me
Mm.
using my cognitive capabilities. And this is how I try to learn or the learning happens. So at the personal level, the most effective way to use AI is for two things, which I even use personally. The first is to use AI as a research tool. That means you can use tools like if you want to if you're starting your research process, you can ask a few questions, it will give you certain resources, and then you can start on from there. So that's the use of AI as a research tool. And the second is to use AI as a conversational, as a colleague or as a mentor, like someone expert. So sometimes in many cases, what happens is that suppose I had certain questions that why does this work? Why does this not work? And so on and so forth. For example, if I watch a video and I have certain questions, so what I do is that I copy and paste the link of the video to certain AI tool, and I start asking certain doubts that I have about that video, and it starts to give me certain answers, and so on and so forth. This discussion goes on. So you can use it as someone who is an expert in this topic, and you can ask questions to it. So from a personal level, you can use those kind of things as a tool like that. I think you have mentioned like a few months ago you talked about AI assisted journaling. So it's I think very similar to that. And
Yeah.
so do you want to say something on this topic?
Yeah, so even intuitively, if like without this study also, if someone thinks about it intuitively, you will realize that if you outsource the thinking process, you will obviously not be able to learn whatever you're trying to do. So the learning happens through the struggle of trying to understand or trying to grasp the concept. So that is how you will understand something. If you bypass that part, so of course you will be left with nothing. So from the learning point of view, just using AIs will obviously make you dumb in the long term. And you spoke about using it for productivity and efficiency tasks in, so yeah, in that scenario it can be useful. For example, someone's goal is not to become, not to learn web development, but they want a website for themselves. They can use this tool, maybe learn a little bit, maybe they can use 20 to 30% of their own brain, 70% of the chatbots or the AIs, and they will come up with the website. Now if you ask them how this website was built, give me the exact details, they may not be able to tell you. But the goal was to have a website that works for them and they got it. But if someone is actually trying to understand and learn how it all works, and if they bypass everything and just get the website, they just skip through the learning phase and ended up with the product. So if someone who only wants the product, then the LLM did its job. But someone who wanted to learn, they just skip the process of learning. And in the learning process also it can be used, but you have to be deliberate about it. Similar to, for example, answering questions from the back of the book. So you have a question, you try to answer it yourself first. You're not able to, then you look it up. So while learning, you can use LLMs that way. So you use your brain power first to come up with arguments, maybe trying to understand it yourself. And when you are not able to do it, or you want to compare it with something that would be better than what you could come up with, then you can use AI, and it will also give you, for example, people will now have access to real time criticism of their work. So you can understand something, then you explain the LLM that what you understood, this is what I understood. Find the gaps for me. Then it will be able to tell you specifically that these are the things you skip past. So it is actually a learning capable if used correctly. But if you use it to just skip it and just find the answer directly, then of course it will over time make us dumb.
Mm.
Yeah, that's all I can think of now.
Okay, so we have only 1 minute left. So should we finish or should we continue? Do you have anything else for today?
Not really. Maybe I think should we can end it for today. Maybe some other time we can start.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, means this topic is complete anyways. I had different topics, so maybe today we
Mm,
can end it here. Yeah.
mm, okay.